MrBeast may be facing the actual biggest drama in all internet history, and as a result, for the first time in his career, he's experienced a drop in his follower count. I'm gonna give you the 5 main reasons why. 1. He's been knowingly featuring 2 pedophiles in his videos, one of whom was his best friend. 2. He supposedly tortured his former employee. 3. The former CEO of his brand was a sex offender. 4. His relationship with women are allegedly extremely toxic. And 5. Many of his videos are even rumored to be fake. All of this is happening at the worst possible time, just as Amazon is investing billions of dollars into his new show called Beast Games. It all started in 2015, when MrBeast's childhood friend, Kris Tyson, appeared in the video titled "Psycho Friend Smashes My Laptop." Before MrBeast's rise to fame in 2017 with the video counting to 100,000, Kris was seen only occasionally in his videos. However, as MrBeast started creating more and more engaging content, such as giving homeless people $1,000, Kris began appearing quite frequently, becoming the most popular actor in MrBeast's videos and gaining a great fan base across all social media. Videos without Kris seemed wishy-washy and received comments like, "Where's Kris?" or "It would be better if Kris was there," in my opinion. Unfortunately, in 2023, something happened that split Kris's fans into 2 groups. Those who disliked him and those who continued to support him. Kris's appearance began to change. He started paying attention to always being clean-shaven, painted his nails black, grew long hair, and wore a lot of feminine clothing, which raised many questions not only from fans, but also from the MrBeast crew. After many curious fans started asking Kris what was going on, he announced that he had been undergoing hormone therapy for 2 months and wished to be referred to as Ava. Therefore, from now on, I will refer to Kris as to Ava. She continued to appear in MrBeast's videos and was becoming an icon of the trans community. Unfortunately, everything changed in July 16th, when a small YouTuber named Adrox posted a video titled, "This video will make you hate Kris Tyson." And this is where the downfall of not just Ava, but also MrBeast begins. Listen carefully. In this video, Adrox accuses Ava Tyson of several things. He started by explaining the term lowly.
Before starting this video, I want everyone to understand 2 things. First of all is drawings. The Japanese manga that is explicit and involves cartoon characters. It's focused on characters and plots depicting underage girls. Now, I think it's clear enough for anyone to understand what it means if a real person draws or likes drawings.
He then continues by introducing one of the creators who actually draws these illegal drawings, Shadman. Shadman has drawn a ton of underage characters in some sort of erotic form. For example, Ellie from The Last of Us, who, according to the game developers, is only 14 years old. Because of his disgusting drawings, he was expelled from school, but that didn't stop him, and in 2011, he drew his mother guys, exactly as you imagine, naked and in such a position that you can see everything about her body. If you still think it's not that bad, which it is guys, it's absolutely awful, I'll tell you about July 2016, when one of his fans asked him to draw Keemstar's daughter, who was only 7 years old at the time, giving a blowjob to Donald Trump. Honestly, I don't understand what kind of person you have to be to ask someone for something like that. But Shadman replied that if Trump wins the election, he will do it. As we all know, Trump won, and so Shadman delivered what he promised, and I feel sick just from talking about it. Imagine being in Keemstar's position, or even worse, his daughter's. Honestly, if I were Keemstar, I would have taken it much more seriously than he did, but that's none of my business. A few months later, Shadman began posting more and more of these kinds of pictures, this time containing Daphne Keane, who was only 12 years old at the time, being sexually abused. Now I've briefly described Shadman to you, but maybe you're asking, how does Shadman relate to Ava Kris Tyson? Don't worry, we're getting there. Before showing you what happened next, guys, I want to ask you to consider subscribing, as only 2% of my audience is actually subscribed. Thank you so much. Enjoy the video. In November 2017, Ava responded to a tweet from MrBeast and Grande saying, "This is coming from a guy who owns a shad-based drawing and has it as a centerpiece in his living room." Many people didn't take it seriously because everyone was making edgy jokes at the time, but the worst part is that Ava actually wasn't lying and really had a freaking picture of an underage girl hanging in her living room. The picture we're talking about shows a young girl with a cap on her head that says, "Please be patient, I have autism." She has a gun in her mouth, a fidget spinner as an earring, and a tattoo that says BBC, unfortunately not referring to the television channel. It was discovered because of a short part in a video titled "Tipping Pizza Delivery Guys $10,000. The part is now deleted from the video, but you can clearly see Jimmy in the background looking at the exact same picture we just described. By the way, it's worth noting that Jimmy and Ava were roommates at the time. This is really bad, guys. This can't even be hidden behind a joke. It's really disgusting. I try to find out what percentage of MrBeast's fan base is children. Although I couldn't find the specific data, let's be real, I don't believe that people above 18 years old are watching videos like, "In 10 minutes this room will explode." Most of them are kids, and everybody knows it. I really wish this was the only thing people had on Ava. But once this surfaced, the internet detectives started digging further, and what they uncovered only proves Ava's true nature. For example, Ava's old replies to various tweets, where she says things like, "Nothing gets my knob cranking like some loli," meaning that nothing turns her on as much as some good loli. Or, "Low-key she cute," under a post that contained Violet from the movie The Incredibles, who, according to the scriptwriters, is again only 14 years old. But even if her age was unknown, guys, it's clear that the girl is very young, petite, and childish. Now I'm just wondering if Ava Tyson is just edgy or if she's just weird. I want to again point out that she is MrBeast's best friend and that Jimmy probably knew everything. Viking, one of the former actors in MrBeast's videos, even said that Jimmy knew in one of his Twitter posts. And you know who defended Jimmy on Twitter after that? Of course it was Ava. To Viking's "Jimmy knew," Ava replied, "Never ask Jake," meaning the Viking, "how he protected his family from his bro-in-law," indicating that there was something known among the MrBeast crew that we didn't know until now. I'll explain that in a second, but we need to move on. MrBeast was under a wave of hate comments from his followers as well as his haters, so he had to formally respond to the whole drama by saying, "Over the last few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online, and I'm disgusted. I've seen enough online and taken immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with MrBeast." MrBeast began to face some serious problems, and it was the worst time for him to have to deal with more controversies. And it was at this moment that former MrBeast employee, Dogpack 404, released 2 videos on his channel within 2 weeks, and then one more after a month. The first, not so dangerous to MrBeast's reputation compared to the second and third, titled "I Work for MrBeast, He's a Fraud," focused mainly on how MrBeast conducted illegal lotteries when he told kids on live streams to buy a $40 shirt within 10 minutes to get a chance to win $10,000.
On August 2nd, 2020, MrBeast live streamed him and his friends signing limited edition shirts celebrating 40 million subscribers. And here are just some of the clips from that stream.
For those of you who are just joining, if you buy one of our limited edition 40 mil special shirts, we're celebrating 40 million subscribers with a really big video, then we will sign that shirt, and some of them will get random prizes like this.
Jimmy also allegedly faked his videos, and even told actors in his videos to say things like, "Why aren't we the channel that fakes videos and we have to do them genuinely?" But that's not all. MrBeast supposedly influences who wins the significant money, and it's always either someone from his family or the family of someone from his company's employees. Definitely not random people. Dogpack's video gained over 4 million views in only 3 short days. On a new channel. And although there wasn't as much dirt on MrBeast in the video as in the one released 2 weeks later, MrBeast's manager Chucky responded to Dogpack with a Twitter post saying, "I quickly want to debunk some of the info in this video since the guy who made it was on my team. It was my decision to fire him for erotic behavior. He worked at the company for less than a month and wasn't an employee for most of the videos he mentioned to have knowledge on." Dogpack responded to this in detail, and it resulted in a mutual firefight, where 2 of MrBeast's employees were arguing with each other. In all this chaos, MrBeast didn't comment on anything and had no plan in explaining himself, unless we count as a statement the fact that he's massively deleting scenes and comments from his videos and hiring a massive army of lawyers against Dogpack. They want to silence him. You can think what you want, but to me that's enough of a statement. Another thing Dogpack talks about is that MrBeast and his crew won't take no as an answer. They supposedly have some kind of scene degree full of business rules and tips and tricks, and one of them is that no does not mean no, which, let's be honest, sounds pretty toxic. If we need a store to buy everything inside of and you cancel the local Dollar Tree and the person that answers says no, you can't film here, that literally doesn't mean shit. However, as I mentioned, Dogpack's first video is truly nothing compared to the second and the third one, and I can tell you that the second video is possibly the 50 minutes that completely destroyed MrBeast's reputation. In the video titled, "I work for MrBeast, he's a sociopath," Dogpack talks with a former MrBeast employee, Jake Whittle, and what you will learn will make you absolutely hate MrBeast. The first thing, in the video, I spent 24 hours in an inside asylum. MrBeast allowed a person who was registered as a sexual predator to be there. What needs to be clarified is that when a new person is supposed to suddenly appear in videos on a 300 million channel, it won't happen randomly or just like that. This person goes through many paperwork. They obviously know his real name and address, his work history, criminal record, relationship with others, and much more. It's not possible for some random person to come in and say that he is the only one of the contestants who want to wear a mask and that no one can call him by his real name. Jimmy, therefore, knew very well who he was letting into the video. And it wasn't just that he let him be in there and then left the video out to the production team. No. MrBeast directly interacted with this person in the video, asking him various questions, laughing with him, and it seemed that both were having fun. This person even won money in the video. I think it was 5,000 or something like that. And not only that, our internet detectives later discovered that this person in the video is actually Viking's brother-in-law, who Ava was talking about. Of course, if Ava knew, Jimmy had to know too, and therefore everyone in his crew had to know as well. Something like that doesn't stay hidden. Viking later commented on this discovery. "Yes, Delaware is my brother-in-law. Yes, he's a registered sex offender. When he was 21, a 16-year-old girl accused him and others of sexual assault when she was 11. Delaware took a plea deal. That's why there was no jail time, but he still had to register. I firmly believe he did nothing wrong and look forward to the day these charges are dropped." But that's not the only thing Jake says about MrBeast in the video. For your info, Jake appeared in Beast's videos from 2019 to 2022. He says that whenever either Jake or someone else was too funny or too visible in the video, MrBeast ordered the producers to cut it out. Jimmy allegedly did this so that someone wouldn't become too famous thanks to the videos and then start talking shit on Jimmy in their own videos later. Jake also claims that Jimmy surrounds himself with a yes man, and that if you listen to Jimmy and do what you're told to do and you're not too visible, he likes you and you get various benefits. On the other hand, he allegedly starts to hate you if you're not 100% cheap and you occasionally express yourself not entirely positively about his practice or the fact that the videos are fake. But if you think it ends here, you're wrong. Now it really starts to get interesting. Jake had a huge dream, to move to New York and become a comedian. In his life, he had basically no resources and, above all, little money. This changed a bit when he joined MrBeast in 2019. Suddenly, he could showcase his comic skills more often and also publicly. Unfortunately for Jake, although Beast's videos always made Jimmy an incredible amount of money, Jake saw almost nothing from it, and it was literally impossible to make a decent living out of it. When Jake once went to MrBeast's office to ask for at least a slight pay raise, Jimmy had him fired. Jake was devastated, and in Dogpack's video, you can see that talking about it is very difficult for him. Jake, however, continues the story, saying that a few weeks later, he was called by MrBeast's managers, who offered him one last job. They offered him that he would be locked in a room for 30 days with 30 items, and each day he would have to get rid of one item. At the end of the video, Jake was supposed to get $300,000. They told him it would be easy peasy, that Jake would be the only character in the video, that he would be the main hero, and that all he had to do was to endure it, and in the end, he would get the easy money. Jake thought this was it. This is what would later make him rise to fame in New York and start his career with that money. It seemed perfect for him. Jake had no other choice. He had to take it, because he had big dreams and wanted to fulfill them, just like everyone else does. But he didn't yet know that these 30 days would cause him such trauma that he would still be recovering from it now in 2024. The first thing he noticed as soon as he entered the challenge room was that the whole place smelled like it was freshly painted. He also claimed that the shower was insanely cold and he had to shower in it for the entire month. In addition, there were no clocks or any windows in the room, so he had no idea what time it was, and what's worst is that they didn't turn off the main lights at all. Simply put, he had the lights turned on the whole time. Which, by the way, isn't even done to terrorists. It's a violation of basic human rights. All people have the right to sleep healthily.
And I go up to my friend, my good friend. And I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists.
As a result of not turning off the lights, Jake barely slept. And after a few days of no sleep and completing various challenges, believe me, even the toughest, most disciplined person would fail. It also happened that Jake once rarely fell asleep and was taking a nap, when suddenly Jimmy would come into the room and ask the production why the hell was Jake resting when he was supposed to be creating content and ordered them to wake him up. You might say that he could have said no at any time, he could have left at any time, and that it wasn't torture. But believe me, when you lose all hope that your dream can ever come true, and suddenly someone gives you one last chance to fulfill all of your dreams, you don't say anything other than a clear and understandable yes. When Jake was already completely broken after several days, MrBeast came to him and said, "Hey, I'll give you extra money if you run a marathon." Man, that's totally fucked up. It's really sad to see that as soon as you have money, you can do anything with people and manipulate them to the point where it borders on physical torture. Jake also mentions how he went to the production and asked them if they could at least turn off the lights for one night so he could get some sleep. Of course, the production told him that there was no way because it would ruin the time lapse. Do you understand that Beast's production didn't let Jake sleep for even one night because of one shot? In Dogpack's video, Jake then says that he himself used to fake videos with them. He was there. After all, they faked almost all of them, so why couldn't they fake this one too? A few days before the end of this challenge, Jimmy came to Jake and said, "Hey, please tell the camera how grateful you are to be here and that you'll use the money to pay off your student loans. Yeah, and make sure you really feel it." Honestly, I have nothing to say anymore. The icing on the cake is that after the challenge was over, he didn't even get the full $300,000. He talks about how it was the worst month of his life, how his loved ones and especially his therapist are worried about him to this day, and how he still has extremely poor sleep. The video was never released, which is why there is a speculation that the whole thing was planned. To be honest, I don't really believe it, but you know, a speculation is a speculation. You don't invest over $500,000 in a video just for it to not be released. Dogpack begins by explaining why his third video will be very brief compared to the other two, saying he wants to keep some evidence to when MrBeast responds to his videos, and also said that he's making the videos mainly to start a wave of new victims going above the ground and sharing their experiences with working for MrBeast. For example, thanks to the fact Dogpack posted the video about the legal torture of Jake Weddle, Jimmy later reached out to Jake saying, "Hey, I wanted to reach out and say I didn't mean to cause you mental stress with that video and I apologize. Clearly, it had an effect on you. You mentioned you'd like to be paid out the rest of the prize money, the other $190,000, and I'd love to make things right with you. I have zero expectations of you mentioning me sending you this money publicly or taking down any videos. This is me just wanting to help out and make sure you're good. I just need to know if you still use the same bank or not. We'll send the money on Monday. I wish you the best." Which Dogpack doesn't really find that generous, saying a person doesn't need to apologize for something he didn't do, right? But let's dive into the actual third video. In the third video that Dogpack posted, he's talking about three people: James Warren, Lokoya Hell, and Jimmy Donaldson himself. He started by talking about James Warren. James Warren is Jimmy's cousin, and he's the secret CEO of MrBeast's brand. We're saying secret because he doesn't talk about it anywhere on social media. Dogpack says James is an aggressive psychopath that screams at people and hits his girlfriends. He's also allegedly a drug addict and offered video editors cocaine and hookers just to say light. Something happened between him and a former MrBeast female employee, and it was so big the girl was receiving 3 years of severance money. He was also involved in a literal real estate fraud before working for MrBeast. Dogpack mentioned one case in which an old lady was frauded by $1.3 million. And yeah, James also has some very nice friends, such as Lokoya Hell. Lokoya Hell was also in real estate. However, by 2017, he created an adult entertainment company where all of his workers were men, and only 2 years later, he found himself to be hired as a producer in MrBeast's videos. We can only question what got the Go-Go Dance drag daddy of San Francisco qualified to producing content for little kids. But okay. There was also some drama around him where he was fired in 2021 due to his inappropriate behavior towards his 18-year-old straight male assistant. He allegedly booked hotel rooms for himself and his assistant, but with only one bed. He was usually walking in his underwear, and he also went so far and invited his assistant to his home to show him his sex toy collection. What's worse is that he actually wasn't fired for this. He was just moved to a dubbing company and later brought back in 2023, while the assistant still worked there. Quite insane to be hearing all of these terrible things about Jimmy, whom he earlier saw as a golden retriever type of guy. And the last thing I want to mention about Jimmy is that he has a probably very complicated relationship with women. We'll begin with a confession a former female employee of MrBeast said about working there.
"On my very first day, I was told to avoid being alone in a room with certain people in positions of power. Once a male coworker asked me what I would do if Jimmy sexually assaulted or harassed me. The minute any woman leaves a room, they talk about how they would fuck her. I've heard men comment on female contestants' bodies many, many times.
His ex-GF, Metis Padel, posted some time ago an Instagram story talking indirectly about him, saying how Jimmy hurt her, used her, spit her out, and then blamed it on her. She also has a TikTok account where she mentions how his 12-year-old fans were sending her death threats simply because she existed. In addition, MrBeast not only treats women like garbage, he also talks about them in a similar way.
I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women. Well, women are stupid because they're inferior to men.
That when she and a group of contestants who were menstruating during the event had asked the production staff about getting their underwear more quickly, she had been told that it was not a medical emergency.
You'll never actually respect a woman, but just act like you respect.
Therefore, when you add one and one together, the pedophilia, the sexual harassment, the illegal galleries, the fact that almost every video is fake, and mainly the illegal torture of his past employee, you'll very quickly start to understand why MrBeast's reputation is ruined for good.